Hello, my beautiful community. My name is Jen Cushman. I am an empathic intuitive and an energy practitioner. I do Huna, and I am also a neurolinguistic program master practitioner, hypnotherapist, and mental emotional release. So those are all the things I do. And if you would like to see more information, please go to my website at soulstirmagic.com. Okay. The topic of the week this week right now is the head versus the heart. And I really, this is just something that is very near and dear to me. We have already talked about this in past Magic Mondays, but not in this particular way. And like all good things, it bears repeating. So really that's the conversation for today. And what I really want you to do is if you're having confusion or you're having anger. Oh, I'm getting an itchy nose. I'm wondering if Candy's here. I will be doing intuitive readings, you guys. I will be doing cards. So let me get through the love and learn, okay? Okay. So if you are feeling any of these emotions, if you're feeling angry or confused or sad or overwhelmed or all those things, typically those emotions come from the challenges, the problems that we are having in our lives, okay? And so our problems and those emotions, the emotions reside in the unconscious mind, but the problems really reside in the conscious thinking mind. Okay. I want to tell you a little story about my mom. You guys, tomorrow is my mother's birthday. If she were still alive, she would be 84 years old. Okay. My mother and father passed away 7 years ago. My father went first, and then my mother joined him 6 months later. So they almost made it to their 65th wedding anniversary. They literally were about a week shy of my father's death. He would have made it to his birthday and then their 65th anniversary. So in my mind, I'm just saying they were married for 65 years. Okay. Now, when my father knew that it was getting time to, his time on this earth was done, he was getting tired and fatigued, and he made the decision that he wanted to do hospice. He really wanted to die at home. He wanted to be his own bed. He didn't want to be in a hospital, and he was very adamant about that. And so when he came to us and said he made that decision, then we were all very supportive of it. Sad, of course, but very supportive of it. Now, my mother had to make the phone call, and she had to be the one to set up hospice. Now, it's interesting because I don't believe my mother actually knew what hospice would do. I think that my mother in her mind thought that she was going to be getting 24/7 private nursing care for her husband, my father on Medicare. So I'm not sure what she was thinking. And that was my mother's view of the world. That's what she thought. I don't believe that she knew exactly how much care she was going to have to give my dad. And I don't think she was actually prepared for being able to speak to the nurses and the medical doctors because, you're in a time of grieving. If you don't have medical training or you don't have any other kind of training and you are living with your partner you've been with for 65 years and you're trying to do his wishes, it's not the easiest time in life for sure. Okay. So one of the things that happened is that my mother, as my father, he lived with hospice for 2 months, as his body was getting frailer and weaker and starting to shut down. My mother just started getting more and more anxious. She got so much anxiety and fear that came into her life. And she was so incredibly worried that she was making the wrong decisions for my dad. She was just, the nurses would come in and help her. And she got so anxious that even the slightest decision she had to make, she was racked with pain and guilt and anxiety because she was so concerned that the decision she was going to make was going to cause my father pain. And that's a very real problem to have, right? That's something that all of us in any situation, even with training, we would be very concerned about that. And one of the things that I did, now this was before my NLP training, before mental emotional release, but one of the things I've learned is to be a very good listener in my life. My journalism degree taught me how to ask questions and be able to listen for answers. So, about 2 weeks before my dad's death, I went to go visit him and I spent the entire day with him. And he was in and out of consciousness the way it happens, when your body's shutting down and you're not eating and everything else. So, he was in and out of consciousness. But when he was in consciousness, I was beside his bed and we just had the best talks. And so, because I had been studying metaphysics for, 25 plus years, 30 years at that point, I was able to have some really amazing conversations with my father about his life and about allowing him to get to completion of his life. And then really to reframe any fear that he could be having to the other side. And really, my father was a rebel. He loved adventure. He loved poking fun at things. He was irreverent. My dad, all those good qualities I got from him, I got from my dad. And so I was able to really talk to him about, what do you think, Dad? What do you think it's going to be? This is the great unknown. Do you think there's something on the other side? What do you think? Do you think there's a heaven? Do you think there's consciousness? What is it? So we were having really great conversations. And I talked to him about, the great mystery that he was going to get to explore, the greatest mystery, like literally the final frontier. And what was that going to be like? And how exciting, you don't have to pack a suitcase. You don't have to have a passport. You don't even have to have the body anymore. Like you literally just get to go with your soul and your consciousness and you get to go see the great unknown. And I really took the fear away from the great unknown. And we had some really good conversations. And my dad was able to get peace and I was able to get peace. And I was really able to say my final goodbyes with him. It was pretty amazing experience. It actually was. Now, my mother, on the other hand, was not amazing experience for my mother. And so I had to go when my dad actually went into a very, very deep sleep. He was in and out, fitful sleep. He went into a very deep sleep. And I went into the other room and I started talking to my mom. And I was talking to her because one of the things is she just kept talking about the problem. She was in her stuff and her mind, and she was not really focusing on my father at the time. And so one of the things that we did is just asking questions to help loosen the problems because our conscious mind's job is to solve problems. Our ego's job is to keep us safe. The ego does not like the unknown, right? The mystery, the great mystery of the unknown, the final frontier, the conscious mind is like, I don't know what to do. I can't control it. I don't know how I'm going to keep you safe. I don't know what I'm going to do. So the ego's job is to keep us safe. That's really what it is. And then our job is to push through the ego, right? Our job is to experience. Our soul came here to experience life and to love life and have these experiences and the full range of emotions, everything from love, deep, deep, deep love, all the way to grief and heartbreak and pain. And so we are here to experience. And in order to do that, we need to embrace change. And our heart, you guys, our heart is the compass. It is the thing that we can hold in our hands and we can look at it and we can get our true north. If we tap into our heart and we look at the compass of our heart, it will always take us to true north. It will take us to the place that we need to go. So the whispers of our heart will take us there. I believe that our soul actually resides within our heart and that our heart has its own brain. It has its own innate wisdom. So what I did is I talked to my mother to get her out of her head and out of her fear and to get her into her heart. And one of the things I did is I asked my mother, you guys, this was so incredibly powerful. I asked my mother, Mom, if the tables were turned and you were the one that was transitioning first, and you had made the decision to be in hospice, and your body was shutting down, and you're getting ready for your final transition, and daddy's job was to take care of you, what would you want from him? Right? What would you want? It's still emotional. It's funny, you guys, because I can have emotion and I can have the grief and I don't have the baggage, right? I just have emotions because I'm sad that my mom and dad are gone. And I really have done my work. So anyway, I asked my mother that really important question. And that snapped for her. She was able to get out of her head. She was able to stop making it be about her, because we always make our problems be about us, right? It's our problems, it's our head. Of course, that's what's going on. And she was able to reframe, she was able to switch, and she was able to turn that dial to get back into her heart, because she was able to put herself in my father's shoes, lying in the bed, asking, what would I need of my partner of 65 years if I was going to leave him first? Right. So it was pretty incredible. It really was. And my mom was amazing, you guys. Like a switch clicked in her, and she was able to just lead with love. And that's what she did for the last 2 weeks. She was like, she said to me, and she's like, if I was there, I would just want your dad to hold my hand. I would just want your dad to listen to me. I would want to leave this earth knowing that I was loved completely, deeply, and unconditionally. And that's what she did for my dad. And, I wasn't there during final breath, and my mom was. And, you know, it was hard and it was awful. And in its own way, it was beautiful. So that's my topic today. So happy birthday, Mama. Happy birthday in heaven, Mama. I love you so much. Okay. Okay. So transitioning. So why do these problems exist, right? They exist because they're supposed to exist. We create problems because we need to solve problems. We need to be able to get resilience in our life. We need to overcome. We need to have challenges. We came here for this. You guys, every single one of us chose to be here now, to live our lives as us, to be in the bodies that we are, so we can have the full range of experience, right? You don't get pain without joy. That's just the way it happens. In order to feel all the feels, that's what we came here for. We came to learn our lessons, to get our experiences. Some people have relationship challenges, and that's their karmic lesson this time. Some people have physical health challenges. That's their karmic lesson. Money challenges, right? We all come with a specific set of challenges so we can experience them and overcome them. Okay. And the brain, the conscious brain's job is to create the problems and, think our way through them, come up with things and other ways to get through them. Our heart's job is to lead the way. Our heart's job is to touch in of what is most important to us. What are our values? What are the things that we honor? What do we want to have? What are our passions in life? What is it that we need? And then our heart's wisdom is to work in alignment with the brain, so that the thinking decisions that you are making, the things that you are doing with your conscious mind, is in alignment with your heart, so you can live the most big, beautiful life that you want to live, that is perfect for you. And that is another problem, that creates the challenges. That's one of the things in there, which is, who am I? Who am I? The big questions. What is my purpose? What have I meant to do? Why am I here? Right? The big existential questions also, get in the head with the problems as well. So we have that. Okay. Now, so what I want to do is, like anything else, I want to give you really good examples of, tools. I want you to have tools. So here's the tool. Okay. What do what is the answer, right? So the head is where all the problems are. The heart is where the solutions lie. That's what it is. And what do you need to do about it? Well, the first thing we need to do with anything, any problem, any challenge, just like my mother, is you need to have awareness. You need to have awareness that you're creating the problem in the first place. And yes, I say you're creating it. Okay. And it's very possible that the people around you are creating the problems, and they are creating problems for you in your life. but because you are a player and you're in the life and the problems are created for you, in some hand, you're also having a hand in creating those problems too, right? So you're either accepting them on some level, you're not setting boundaries on some level, you're wanting to be in the drama, you're wanting to live the lessons. I'm wanting to do it. I'm included, you guys. I'm a human and live my human life. So we need to have awareness of the problem and awareness of our part in that problem. Okay. And that thing, once we get awareness, then we can get to cause. Cause means I accept responsibility for my part in this. Okay. The other person around me who's creating all the problems may not be accepting responsibility for their part. They may not even realize that they're creating problems. And if you pointed it out to them, they might really yell at you because they don't believe that they're creating the problems, right? It's always somebody else's fault. And there's nothing you can do about that other person. The only thing you can do is find awareness. We can only find awareness within ourselves that we are somehow responsible for the problem. Okay. And then once we have the awareness, then we can start having self-compassion. So that was what I led my mother to. I led her to self-compassion, right? By making about my father instead about her having the wrong, her making bad decisions or wrong decisions, understanding that she's doing the very best she could with the situation in hand. With all the things going on, she was doing an amazing job. She was there with my father at the end of his life as she had spent 65 years living with him. So she was able to have a massive amount of self-compassion for herself as soon as she was able to get out of her head and into her heart. So when we can have self-compassion for ourselves, right? So, okay, so-and-so's creating, or this problem exists. I'm feeling X, you know what I mean? Journal it out, write out. I am feeling, when you don't know and you need awareness, write it write it in a journal. I am feeling angry. I am feeling joy, not joy. This is not usually problems. I am feeling sad. I am feeling grief. I am feeling pain. Write those things out with those very I am statements. And then by writing those statements out, it's going to give you a chance to have deeper inquiry into why am I angry, right? First, you need to name it and then you can claim it. Okay. So you got to name it before you can claim it. And then when you claim it, then you can do the work, right? Then you can do the shadow work. You can do the self-compassion. You can do the self-love. You can use whatever tools are at your disposal. But until you claim it and own it, there's not a lot you can do. Okay. And then the final key in this, the last thing I really want to tell you about it that is so, so important is surrender. It is the golden key that most of us never grab. Literally, when we can surrender into the moment, we can surrender into the present, when we can be here now, my favorite card, one of my favorite cards, if we can be here now and we can surrender into the moment, then we can appreciate the moment for what it is in all of its beauty, all of its pain, all of its glory, all of its stuff. Being in the moment means that you are uniquely human and that you are doing your purpose. Your purpose is to be you. Your purpose is to experience you and to know what your preferences are and to know what your shadow is. And when you get to be here now and be in the moment, then you get to experience all of that rather than disassociating from it, rather than numbing it out. When we're in problems, we're either in the past or in the future. When we're in the solution, we're in the now. Okay. I'm going to say that again. When we're in a problem, we're in the past or in the future. When we're in the solution, we're in the now. Okay. And again, the solutions lie in the heart space. So surrender. So that golden key is in front of you. You guys remember my story about doing the hula, right? And all of the resistance that I was having, I finally surrendered. I found the joy in me so I could find the joy in hula. I surrendered. Surrendering, my mother surrendered. She surrendered to the process. She surrendered to the extreme range of what was going on. And she showed up in a way for my dad that was incredible, strong, and beautiful. She was able to be the best of herself at the very, very end because she was able to surrender to what was. Okay. And then the last thing I want to tell you, and then I'm going to move on to the cards and the end of the Love and Learn, is that it takes practice. So back to my hula chat and my thing when Kumo Tua told me that, excuse me, mastery takes practice. It takes practice, learning to stop your programming, learning to stop your patterns, learning to be in awareness and then understand what the steps are takes practice. So, we don't get good at it overnight. And when we're in the middle of our stuff, it's really, really hard to do no matter what. So just know, again, that goes back to that self-compassion, that grace, that love, that self-love. It just takes practice. And hopefully you get to do it in less difficult situations than what my mother had to do. And I wanted to give you that story today because I wanted you to see the extreme of it. Most things in life are not that extreme. Most things in life are like, when you look at it, one of my favorite things to say is like, well, that happened. And then it's like, well, I did that. And I'm like, well, nobody died, right? Nobody died. I can put that into perspective. If my kids are alive, if I'm alive, if my friends are alive and nobody died, then things are good. Well, in this example I gave you, somebody did die. It was my dad, and it was the most extreme example. And it was also beautiful in the process. Okay. Okay. And then the last thing I want to say to you is I just want to tell you that, like, I know what happens whenever I give these Love and Learn talks, and I can feel you guys and I can hear you. So I just want you to know I can hear you because we exchange our energies and you're my community and we quantum entangle with each other every Magic Mondays when I give it and you show up. So I can actually hear your questions. I can feel your questions more than anything. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot, when I do this is like, what if, right? What if it doesn't work? What if this stuff doesn't work? And all I can tell you is it does work. I promise you it works. I am a living, breathing human example that these tools and these techniques work. And here's the other thing. It doesn't work if you don't work it. Okay. You've got to work it. What you put into your life is what you get out of your life. And if you want to love your life, if you want to live joyfully, if you want to experience more pleasure than you do pain, if you want to be loved and get love and receive love, you got to put in the work, you got to do it and put it out there and then allow yourself to receive it back. Okay. And then the other thing I want to tell you is, the other question that comes up in addition to what if it doesn't work, the next question usually on something like this is, what if I'm not ready? And really what people are asking, the deeper problem to what if I'm not ready, if you were to dig a little bit deeper and peel one more layer to the other thing is, I'm afraid, right? The other layer is, what if it won't work? I'm afraid it won't work. What if I'm not ready? I'm afraid I'm not ready. And the bottom line is that usually fear. I'm afraid. Okay. And fear is a really, really, really powerful emotion. It really is. And it's also, fear is what our ego loves to control the best, right? Fear is what the powers that be out there that are in the power situations that don't necessarily want the light workers to show the way, that don't want us to take the red pill and wake up out of the matrix. Fear is what controls us. The media runs a lot of that. The power structures run a lot of that. The top 1% of the wealth runs a lot of that. Please understand that they run on fear. So fear is something that we are accustomed to and we are hardwired in. Our nervous system understands. Our lizard brain, our limbic system, our amygdala in our brain is what we had. It's the oldest part of our brain, and it is what is the fear factor, right? So that is really a very strong emotion. And what I want you to know is that you are stronger than your fear. Okay. Your heart is love, and love is stronger than fear. And when you tap into the wisdom of your heart, you will find the creative solutions to get above and around and over and through your fear. Okay. Okay. That's great. So the reality is it does work. You are ready. And it doesn't matter if you're afraid, feel the fear, do it anyway. You got this. You got this. You can do it. You are light workers. You are here for a reason. You are here to help raise the vibration of the planet. Sorry, you guys, I didn't do it on Do Not Disturb. And you are here to raise the vibration of the planet. And you do that. The way you help raise the vibration of the planet is you raise your vibration first. As within, so without. As above, so below. Okay? Okay.